Did you know that 72% of home buyers that bought during a frenzy have regrets about their purchase?
I purchased this house almost 4 years ago when I was 21 years old for about $400,000, and I regret it sometimes.
You're not spending $250,000 for paint and flooring, honey. You need to be looking at that roof. You need to be looking at electrical.
Okay, so a few months ago, we talked about how many recent home buyers were regretting their purchases completely and becoming house poor. This ended up being for many different reasons, but I thought it'd be a good idea to go a little bit deeper into this topic because of a YouTube video I just watched. We now have a much more in-depth experience of the buying process from start to finish, everything that went wrong, all of the issues that came up from the GoHerping YouTube channel. You might have heard of this channel during COVID. I watched him a lot. He made reptile videos, very interesting, honestly gained a ton of popularity during that time. But we're going to be checking out one of his videos titled "Bought a Home at 21 Years Old. Was it a Mistake?" I would definitely go check out his channel. I'll have it in the links down below. I also have some other clips and comments from you guys about your experiences as well. So if you want to be featured in a future video, leave it in the comments down below, but we're just going to get right into it.
I purchased this house almost 4 years ago when I was 21 years old for about $400,000, and I regret it sometimes. This was a hard time to buy a house because it was 2020 to 2021. Houses were selling so fast. Literally, houses weren't even reaching the listing sites because they were selling before they could even be listed. Like, it was so scary because I was like, I've been house hunting before with like family, and I didn't even know if I'd get that opportunity. Plus, I was so busy with work, I was like, when do I even get the time to look at houses? They just cared about 4 things, which was getting a down payment from me, seeing how much debt I currently owe, my credit score, and 24 months of proof of income, proof that I have made money and will continue to make money.
So how many times have we heard that from various TikToks anybody's experienced during 2020 to 2022 buying a house? It would be listed up for an hour and somehow there would be offers on the house over asking, cash offers, insane. God forbid there was an open house somewhere in a desirable neighborhood. There would be literally hundreds of people there, cars lining the block to look at one single house. It was unbelievable. And this guy at the same time was running a huge business with his reptiles, making videos. He basically had no time to look for homes, let alone everybody else jumping on everything that was listed.
They wanted to see all of the money I've made because the mortgage guy wants to show the mortgage lender like, hey, my client here has a lot of money, so please give him this loan so that I can get paid as well. So yeah, they asked for the past 2 years as well as the last 30 days, as well as at the end, because this process took time, like they would ask me for the last 7 days of income or the last 3 days of income, because each day that passes, they're like, all right, let's see how much money you made yesterday. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. And I'm sending them more screenshots. And it was like, it was so stressful because I was like on a super tight timeline. But in the end, they approved me for the loan. I'm usually not one to get financially stressed out. Like, I take just big financial risks just for fun and to see what happens. But I have to admit, I was scared.
So for somebody who does take a lot of financial risks, he's run many businesses, of course, a lot more stress with your income instead of a bi-weekly paycheck. And if even he was stressed during the situation, what does that mean for everybody else? He was also on a time crunch because he couldn't use the rental he was currently living in for his business, but that could also translate into somebody getting a job in another town or another city, state, having to move abruptly and find a house as quickly as possible. Again, this kind of stress makes people look past issues and make even more mistakes.
The mortgage guy came in clutch. Everything happened in less than 3 weeks to get me about $350,000. Like they just handed me over $350,000 after a couple weeks of, hello, here's my YouTube channel analytics. I got it at a 2.625% interest rate. This interest rate is, of course, what I'm going to pay the bank back as I'm borrowing their money. It's the fee that they get. It's why they let me borrow the money in the first place. The average interest rate when I purchased this home in 2021 was 3%, which the charts that I can find, they go back to like the 70s. In my lifetime and in the lifetime of my parents, interest rates have never been this low. And as of recording this, they have never been that low since. If I had purchased this home 12 months before or 12 months after, I would have gotten double the interest rate. So somehow I got incredibly lucky that the one moment I could and needed to buy a home was the one moment that interest rates were the absolute lowest they had ever been.
How many times have you also heard that? I wish I bought it in 2021, the absolute bottom. This is an experience during that time. Now, unfortunately, what you're about to hear in the next clip is that it wasn't as good as it seemed with the amazing interest rate. Because of that, housing prices were way overvalued. So yes, of course, some people got the deal of a lifetime during 2021. Record low interest rates on hopefully an affordable house. You are most likely completely fine right now and way ahead of most people, especially if you're trying to find a house. But now we could start seeing when things go south.
And so ultimately, yes, I got low APR, but it was an expensive house. This house is not worth 400 grand. This house kind of sucks, which I'll get into. I don't want to sound like I'm whining, but I also want to be honest about the home. This house has cost a lot of money since I purchased it. Way more than I expected every year, like tens of thousands of dollars more. Now, for starters, this was the only home I saw. Houses were selling so fast, I didn't even see a point in looking at houses because everyone was buying them so fast. It was like, all right, it's time to start looking for houses. I looked at this one, I bought it the same day. Like I put a bid in, whatever it's called. I had seen it for like 15 minutes and it seemed like a house. So I was like, all right, I'll get this one. I got a home inspection. And this is not a joke. Like, I wish I had a Bible here that I could like swear on, because I swear on my life, I will never get a home inspection again. It's a complete waste of money, in my opinion. When people ask me, hey, should I get my home inspected? No, I paid $1,000 and an actual like imbecile inspected the house. It was the highest rated home inspector on Google in the area, 5 stars, 1,000 reviews, whatever. He missed everything, and I didn't really get to look at the house, not to mention I didn't know what to look at in a house. So in the future, I hate home inspectors. I'm literally just racist towards them. So if you're a home inspector, sorry, I had one bad home inspector experience. Now I hate all of you. I'm going to inspect it myself next time. I'm just going to save my $1,000.
So I think this clip does bring up a good point, because in the last videos, especially if we were looking at any of the new construction, sounds like I'm a broken record, but during that time, during COVID 2021, people were waiving home inspections, just looking at a house, walking up and going, yeah, I'll take it. Any of the internals could be absolutely falling apart and people were just paying cash offers over asking. Ludicrous. But we have an experience here where he paid a lot of money, $1,000, for a home inspector with great ratings on Google. Not one of them that was connected to the real estate agent that would have been buddy and maybe they would have looked past stuff. That's a big issue as well. But another $1,000 goes down the drain because even the good home inspector that was supposed to be rated well screwed him. Now that doesn't mean I think that all home inspectors are terrible and you shouldn't get one. I think if anything, in my mind, if I wanted to get my home inspected, if I was looking for a house, I want to fly out one of the TikTok creators that are home inspectors that just go through and rip apart every single house. You know what I'm talking about. We've seen it in my videos on this channel. I know that at least they do a great job. So I mean, I got to get flights wherever they live and fly them over to here so they could take a look at the houses that I want, because now it's hard to trust anybody. But we do have a comment from one of you guys with your experiences. This happened to me. I tried so hard to make all of the right decisions, saved up for a large down payment, made sure the mortgage was safely below 30% of my income. That's good. Found the best inspector in the area and still got screwed. Within 6 months, we had $70,000 in unexpected repairs. Pipes broke, furnace blew, water heater needed replaced, oh man, roof leaked, etc., etc. The inspection missed tons of things that would have kept me from purchasing had I known. In 1 year, we went from having 6 figures in the bank to now being $40K in debt. And every time I start gaining ground, something else breaks. Things are looking bleak. I mean, there's really nothing else I could add other than this guy got completely screwed. What are you supposed to do? He actually did everything you were supposed to and still lost. Like I said before, the only solution is to fly out one of the big home inspector TikTokers that I know will do a good job and run through whatever house that I'm looking at. But you know, of course, that's pretty ridiculous and very expensive if you even could do that. So it's almost like you're gambling and taking a chance no matter what.
The water was completely contaminated. It was so bad that I couldn't even shower in it. It smelled terrible. It had so much heavy metal in it. It's on a well and septic, non-potable, non-showerable water. I wouldn't even feed it like to my chickens. So I had to dump money into a water filtration system, which was $6,000. I also maybe could have found a better price, but I was in a rush because I didn't have any water. It works though, it's good. I also had to get a water softener because the water was very hard. which is not a health risk, I don't think, but $2K on a water softener. Then for some reason, I just got super unlucky and the well bladder and well pump failed very shortly after getting the house, which was an extra $1,000. The water heater failed, which was $2,000. And so in the end, like shortly after buying the house, after spending way more than I expected, I had to drop an additional $10,000 just on getting the water drinkable.
Another very similar situation to the previous comment. Other than hoping that the home inspector could see that all these things are about to fail and can maybe negotiate it in your price, it's just kind of a roll of the dice, unfortunately. And I don't believe that his house is brand new construction. He does actually live in North Carolina like me. I'm not exactly sure where, but we have a comment from one of you guys talking about new construction that we have seen on this channel. As a licensed plumber, I could testify to the fact that new homes are being built too fast, too cheap, and every single corner that could be cut was in fact cut. I go to new homes that are 2, 3, or 4 years old and the plumbing needs thousands of dollars worth of repairs. So we could be looking at GoHerping's experience right now with a house that doesn't look too old but nothing brand new either, and that house is currently falling apart, or the experiences of brand new houses only a couple years old with plumbers saying that everything needs to be ripped out and fixed and thousands more put into the house. Like you honestly can't win.
That was just the beginning. The electricity is bad. Like a third of the electricity in the house doesn't even work. The heating is unreliable. Oh, the refrigerator was broken. I don't know how the inspector didn't notice, but I hadn't even really seen the house. I paid the inspector $1,000 so he could tell me the fridge was broken. He didn't notice. So I had to buy a new fridge. The dishwasher was broken. I had to buy a new dishwasher. Everything was adding up so much more than I expected. And then the windows started falling out of the house. Most of the windows are being held in with duct tape. The window up here doesn't really qualify as a window. It's completely broken. It's not a great house. The last time this house sold, it sold for like $200,000. It's more than double. It's all just inflated prices because of the housing market. And at the end of the day to day, I'm just paying for something that is now useless to me.
And many people feel like that right now. I get it. They signed on the dotted line. They knew if they looked at Zillow or Redfin value of their homes. How many houses have you seen just spike in value over the past couple years? Of course, it's going to be overpriced. And on top of it, if you get screwed with everything else falling apart and adding into the cost of the house, it really doesn't seem worth it. And I know when I talk about this and say that I currently rent right now, I don't own where I live, tons of people end up getting mad at me saying you're just throwing your money into a fire, no equity, all the things you've probably heard before. But I'm not even against owning a house. My goal is to own a house. Maybe not where I currently live because the rent that I'm paying is not nearly the absurd prices of the houses around me. I gotta get out of here. I cannot afford to live here, but I obviously still would like to own a home as soon as I possibly can. It just ends up costing way more money than most people think. Not just the monthly payment on the mortgage and the homeowner's insurance and whatever else. It could be exponentially more.
I shut down the exotic animal business. I no longer print merchandise. I'm not really home ever. The house is empty, and all year I've just been paying for something that serves me basically no purpose. Like, I sleep here sometimes. I don't even sleep here all the time. And I also just don't make the income that I used to. I truly do believe that I can get my income back up there someday, but I am house poor right now. I don't have time to build other stuff and make other things and build up my income because I spend all day paying for what I do have right now, that being this house. Of course, some people will be like, well, you're also paying for the cars, but the cars are individually profitable and 2 of them are paid off. So it's just like the house is the one thing that's here. I'm not paying it off anytime soon. And in the end, it costs me about $2,400 a month to keep this home, which is a good price. Like, it's a very good price, especially if you're watching this from California or from New York City. You're like, what? I pay like $4K for a 1-bedroom apartment and I don't even get any of the equity.
But I think many people are stuck in that situation right now. Say if you did get an amazing mortgage rate like he did, but you overpaid heavily, you're kind of locked into paying every month because what's the alternative? Say if you sell it for maybe as much as you paid for it, probably less. Some home prices are going down, not substantially, but they're definitely not going up as crazy as they were. If you move into another house now, the mortgage rate is 7%, I believe. Even getting a cheaper home, you'd probably end up paying the same, if not more money per month than you already are. So honestly, you're kind of in a pretty rough situation.
For me personally, I'm paying $30,000 a year to keep this home, and that's a lot of my income now. And that's for the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance, the bills, the utilities, and the maintenance, or not including the maintenance actually. Like, I wake up, I spend all day working, and oftentimes I don't even come back to the house. I just sometimes go to sleep where I am. I like car camping. It's very convenient if I am far away. Or if I'm exhausted. Usually I come back to the house, but I don't really need to. There's not even any working heating in this upstairs. The house is in shambles. My work-life balance is in shambles, and my social life is definitely in shambles. And yeah, I just can't open up the time to work on things to try and inflate my income. So I'm just like steadily all year making it by, making enough, working a lot, paying all my bills, paying down my debts. But I still have not recovered from the unexpected expenses of fixing this house, just all the way back to 2021, from that original extra 2% of the down payment to the thousands of random repairs that I've been doing. As you know, I do a lot of them DIY, but it's still not the cheapest.
And the last sentence he says goes along with a comment from you guys. With zero handyman skills, homeowning is expensive. Even if you do have a lot of DIY skills, clearly it could be pretty costly anyway. But how many people stretch to barely make enough money to afford the inflated price on their house? And because of that, they're almost never in their house. They're working non-stop just to funnel almost all of their paycheck into the home. To me, it doesn't really seem like the best life to live.
So as an example, like a thought experiment I kind of do is, let's say I was renting this house, and let's say my lease ends at the end of December, end of this year. What would I do? Honestly, I decided, not that it matters, that I wouldn't renew this house. I would actually probably not rent anything for a bit. I have some chickens, and I would probably try to find someone to take the chickens, preferably temporarily, but details don't matter because this is a hypothetical. And I would put my stuff into storage. I don't have much stuff. It would all fit in the tiniest storage room, whatever. I'd need to park my car somewhere, but I would honestly either rent something really tiny and pitiful that I can come back to as a home base and then just travel around in my car for a bit, or do a dream that I've had for years, which is rent Airbnbs just around the country. I would just use it to live in different places and explore and make content about it.
Now, I don't think a ton of people want to do exactly what he said, but some don't realize when they're buying a house, you could be stuck there. I know that does sound ridiculous, but there is no hopping around different places if you want, unless you have a ton of income and could still pay for the house and do Airbnbs or have other rentals. But some people are now stuck in their homes because of their amazing mortgage rate. You can't go move and buy another house with the 2 or 3% that you could have gotten a few years ago. And another example, if you want to do that nomad type of lifestyle like he was talking about, people just start filling their homes with a whole bunch of stuff that most of the time can't fit in one little storage unit. It would end up costing a ton of money per month just to have all the furniture and all the TVs that everybody buys. I mean, I don't think I even have a ton of crap compared to others, but if I wanted to do that as well, I bet it wouldn't be cheap if I decided to do that. But now this guy kind of seems like he's stuck in a situation that he doesn't want to be in. He wants to just travel around, and he probably could making YouTube videos, but now he has to pay for a house that he's barely in and paid too much money for.
What I want to do is socialize, hang out with friends, and explore, and work hard on projects. But I haven't gotten to do that yet because I just keep on paying for this empty house. So again, I love this part of town. I love North Carolina. The neighborhood's great. I wouldn't change anything about the location and the back. I just love chilling in the backyard, but I don't even get to really enjoy the backyard because I am either out of the house making money or in my attic editing videos. And I love editing. I love filming. I'm house poor. That's the best way to put it. Am I poor? No. Am I broke? No. My net worth keeps growing because of the equity in this home. So, okay, that's a lot of whining, Lil Herp man. What are you gonna do about it? Well, I'm gonna do what I do best, and that's monetize things that aren't intended to be monetized. I bought this house with the intention to monetize it, not really to live in it. I'm not really living in it, so I'm gonna try to do it again. I'm gonna try to monetize the home. I'm gonna get more roommates, and I'm just going to try and crank out some cash from it
And hopefully that does end up working out for him, but not everybody could do this. Say if you do have a family and kids, maybe you don't have any extra rooms, so you can't get any roommates to cut down on some of the mortgage costs. I mean, maybe you don't even want to do that in general. He's got some videos with just some horror stories about that. We'll talk about that in a second. But I think this experience becomes so exhausting to so many people that you end up thinking like this.
I do not care about this house at all. It could burn down tomorrow and I would be like, oh, well, that'll be a good video. If it does happen to burn down, I swear to God, it was not on purpose. But we're going to try again. Roommate saga number 2. I just need to monetize this house so I can frick off and go do other stuff that I want.
So imagine one of the biggest financial purchases of your life becoming such a burden that you wouldn't care if it got burnt to the ground. That's a situation that I don't want to be in at all. But I'd definitely go check out his channel. He's got very interesting videos. Like I said, he had roommates before. There was terrible stories with that. He's doing it again for the second time and it's not going well. He's got experiences renting out one of his Teslas in Turo, and that's not the greatest experience. He quit Ubering. There was a whole bunch of problems there. I mean, he's having a rough time right now. I'm not gonna lie. They are definitely interesting and entertaining, so I definitely go check his channel out. But we have another comment from you guys. Always buy below your means. What you can qualify for and what you could afford are vastly different. It applies to cars as well as it applies to houses. But this entire previous experience still didn't help him. He was doing very well with the exotic animal business along with getting a ton of views on YouTube. He was investing well, doing everything correctly, and making a good income because of it. I know right now in 2025 it's not nearly as much, but still, making all the right choices doesn't guarantee you a smooth ride.
Did you know that 72% of home buyers that bought during a frenzy have regrets about their purchase? One of the biggest reasons why is that 31% of these buyers willingly overpaid an average of $65,000 above listed price in order to get the house. And 43% of buyers waived their inspections that at the end cost them thousands once unexpected repairs were discovered after they bought the house. Last but not least, they couldn't ask the seller for any concessions. And the good news now is that buyers no longer have to waive those inspections. They can ask for seller concessions, they can ask for repairs, and most importantly, they can negotiate the purchase price.
Now, I will say it definitely depends on where you live. I still currently live in an area where there is an influx of new people. The average amount of days the homes are listed are about 3 weeks. I mean, in and out very, very fast still. So it all really does depend on where you want to live, but we can look at some of the comments. I don't regret buying my house, but I am house poor. Bank tried to tell me I could afford a $325,000 home and still bought $135,000. Home that still needed minor work, but still best decision I ever made. We have another comment from you guys. The other side is also a problem. My rent was going up $500 a month every year. That's crazy. Went from paying $1,400 to $3,100 a month over the past few years. And there was no sign of slowing. Again, must be in a ridiculously popular area. The exact reason why I'm content staying in my townhome right now, they did not raise the rent this year, which most likely he probably could have. So unless it gets unreasonable very quickly, I'm going to stay here and save as much money as I possibly can. But how many times have you heard this online?
I regret buying this house. That's what I've been thinking every single day for like the past 2 months. It has been hell and I lost control and I was just able to gain back control. There's nothing that sucks more than working so hard to achieve a goal like this and to not even feel at home in my own house is absolutely heartbreaking.
I am regretting buying a house. My fiance and I have not even lived in it for a year, and we had to buy an AC unit already, which is thousands and thousands of dollars. Obviously necessary and worth it, but very unfortunate. We're also trying to plan a wedding, so that was not ideal for the budget. And then we had add gutters, and then on top of that, we now probably have to replace our water heater. Just can't catch a break. And before anyone comes at me, we did have an inspection. None of it was flagged. So
Another story was somebody getting an inspection and still getting screwed over. It probably doesn't help that you're also planning a wedding while purchasing your biggest financial, I would say asset, but that's kind of a hit or miss right now, but you know what I mean. Really throwing a wrench in the whole situation would have probably separated those two events out pretty far from each other. But I think this last clip does sum it up with a lot of the issues that people have had over the past few years, especially when you're talking about newer homes, when they have the nice modern finishes.
So now I have a whole obsession of going down this rabbit hole of watching TikToks of homeowners that hate being homeowners. And I have a question. Like, when y'all go shopping for these homes that you now hate, what do y'all look at? And it's for real a rhetorical question, because as a realtor, I know what y'all be looking at. Y'all be looking at paint and y'all be looking at flooring. That's it. Y'all be looking at the pretties. And you're not spending $250,000 for paint and flooring, honey. You need to be looking at that roof. You need to be looking at electrical. You need to be looking at HVAC. You need to be looking at plumbing. You need to be looking at landscaping. Like, which way does the rain flow when it rains real bad? Like, that's the type of stuff that you need to be looking at. And I have another TikTok about this, but the home inspector that you paid $400 to, yeah, you need to ask questions. Like, y'all literally be handing over $425 to home inspectors and don't ask no questions at all. No question. They give you 50 pages worth of stuff and you just be like, oh, okay, what's the next step? What do I got to do next?
It seems like that's exactly what happened to many people in this video. You gotta test them, you gotta quiz them. I know it's a huge pain while also paying him a ton of money to go through the house and tell you all of the issues, but kind of seems like if you don't push and prod, you could still get screwed, and on top of the overinflated prices, pay thousands or tens of thousands worth of repairs when you're already having issues paying the mortgage alone. So that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.